There we go. Hello and good morning, my crafty creatures. It is Monday, and I'm still not sure how I feel about it being Monday. Oh, my goodness. We are working on our glorious and wonderful divine instinct. This week, per usual, is looking like a normal week. I'm hoping to have enough energy and nothing goes wild and crazy to do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. This is the first reset week back. I have this week and next week that I'm going to be here, and then 2 weeks off for the end of the year. But as of this moment right now, other than my wild and crazy dogs, I plan on having my normal streams. Oh my goodness. So we are continuing our work on 311. Actually, I'm not feeling half bad today. I'm feeling kind of weird, but that's par for the course these days. Oh, I had a half week. I worked Saturday, which was wild and crazy. Started off Saturday wholly overstaffed, ended Saturday perfectly staffed. But it was, and on Saturday I actually got quite a bit done before shit hit the fan. I had the opportunity on Saturday to finally get notes out of my system that I had been sitting in the back of my brain for weeks upon weeks, and finally got them out on paper and to my boss. And I got a few things organized so that the facility makes sense around the beginning of the month. So we are required, if English would work today, to do monthly vitals on our residents. This enables us to keep track if they are gaining or losing too much weight, if their heart rates are changing, if their blood pressures. Some people we take blood pressures on every day, but having the baseline vitals at least once a month helps us in case of emergencies. And they had been all over the place. So I took the opportunity to make sure that from the 1st to the 5th, which is the time frame our boss gave us, there's only 6 neighborhoods, that the day shift had 3 and that the evening shift had 3. And there weren't two two neighborhoods on one day, so that a downstairs person had 2 neighborhoods on the second, that they were balanced out and that they were all matched. Like everybody in that neighborhood had the same day as everybody else in that neighborhood. So I did a lot of organizational work. And then my coworker came to me and he was feeling weird. And I was like, okay. And he's like, can you take my vitals? And I did. And his blood pressure was in the triple digits on both sides, which, if you know anything about blood pressure, I'm surprised he hadn't stroked out. I'm surprised that his heart and his brain were still intact, and his pulse was in the low 100s, so that was not safe, but it wasn't obscene. And And so I sent him to the hospital. Um, and and here in the States, that's not a thing to do lightly, because it can cost an arm and a leg. Um, I he didn't want to go, and I went, okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of choices here. You can get in your car and you can go to the hospital that's literally not even a mile down the road. I still kind of worried, but it wasn't even a mile down the road. Or I can call the ambulance, and they can take you. He opted to drive. He got there. Um, and I told my boss and I told On Call that, um, ooh, there's shiny things outside. Um, I was like, I sent him to the hospital. I take full responsibility. Um, and I had no regrets, except that I then had to pass meds, which, The sad thing is on Sunday he called out, and I couldn't bring myself to do another, to oh. I'm almost done 311, so I'm gonna have to pick another color. I think it's gonna be 312, because 311 and 312, like all the other colors, just go down around the ear. That's not 939. I'll eventually get to 939. Don't get me wrong. I'll eventually cave, and I'll work on it. But I still just don't want to right now. There's definitely something shiny outside. And I mean, in theory, it could be the snow, but at the same time, it's reflecting too brightly. That one. My phone is going bananas for no reason. I don't think I'm gonna have enough of a reach. It's this one, like, thank you. Not enough. Not enough. I'll get enough for this half. Sheesh. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 311 is all done for the day. I think. Oh, no. One straggler that I gotta reach out. No. Wait. 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 3. There. All done. Now we're going to move on to 312. It just kind of goes along the same route as 311 did. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I keep sitting on needle. I have, no joke, pulled 2 needles out of my chair already today. Not like my insulin needles, just like sewing needles, because I've been doing a lot of fixing and sewing and fixing and sewing. So yeah, 2 needles so far out of my chair today. I thought I found another one with my butt, but I was wrong. There's that. That's the normal piece. Sorry, this is generally the part that takes the longest. Oh. Getting the color. That's generally when I try to pick the colors and get them ready ahead of time. Just because it takes such a while. But 312 is where we're gonna spend the rest of our day. Because I am 99% sure I will not be getting it all done today. There's that. Oh my goodness. Adjustment. I might actually get done this color. And there's not nearly as much as I thought there was. But it's also been kind of a quiet, quiet start to my stream, so I suspect it's gonna be like a cemetery today. lost it, but I found it. Mhm. I wandered down into the you can't see me zone without knowing. Jeez, yeah, I think I'm gonna get this color done. Hey, which is nice, but at the same time, I don't have another one picked out. Well, my friends, I have completed 2 colors on this page today. And as much as I love cross stitching on my own, without any interaction, it gets really kind of boring. So as soon as I finish this color, I'm gonna pop off and turn on my YouTube. I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Remember to drink your water, take your meds. My dogs already know what's going on. Be kind to yourself without harming others, and be kind to others without harming yourself. I will be back on tomorrow at 10. Same deal. Like, generally, I don't mind staying on stitching if there's like a little interaction, but it has been a very uneventful day here on stream, so I'm gonna pop my YouTube back on and pay attention to my very obnoxious dogs. Oh, well, you're lucky. I was almost logging off because I've been on an hour with no interaction, so that kind of really like I've had kind of an interesting weekend, so I'm like, if no one interacts in an hour, I'm gonna peace out and go watch YouTube. Well, I know you guys are awake. I recognize you have lives and whatnot. I'm not faulting anyone for that, but I just I have to set a bit of a attention span for myself, because I want to make progress on my projects, and if I don't have the attention span for my projects, I don't make progress on them. So I'm setting, if I don't get like at least a hello or hey, I'm here but just lurking in an hour of streaming, I will be logging off to provide my own dopamine sources. Well, she had stuff she had to get done. I'm not trying to like be like, you have to watch me, because no, I just need to go find my own dopamine. And apparently it's time for next round of ads. Oh my goodness. Oh. No, I just got a second color finish on the page, so. Oh, look, I'm here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what color I gotta pick. I get to pick another color. confused for a second. I went over to the wrong page. Well, sometimes I had a nice Sunday. It was very peaceful. I went out just enough to get some shopping done. Bare minimal peopling, but I still got lots done. I still have to go out either today, tomorrow, or Wednesday. Probably Wednesday, since I don't stream on Wednesday, to get dog food and more presents for me. Okay, so we're moving on to 336, which is a color I will probably get done before the end of stream. And that's the problem with being little and trying to play the I'm gonna stay awake longer than you game. Unfortunately, as adults, we have more experience with the, well, I guess I'm not sleeping today. That, and we have access to better drugs. Well, that's obnoxious. So, the color that I'm working on, I'm trying to stay on the page, but there's one stitch at the very top, right, right up here. One stitch, nothing else on the next page for anywhere in the area. So I'm gonna do the one stitch up here, and then I have to go down. We had a parade on Saturday here that I had the unfortunate circumstance of trying to get to work like hours before it was even set to start, but people were early birding it, and I was like, dude, it doesn't even start for another 4 hours. And yeah. And mind you, again, just a reminder, I only live 1.5 miles from work, and it took me 15 minutes to get from my house to work because of all the shenanigans. People who didn't know how to use blinkers, big ass trailer trucks driving down one-way streets and then stopping. It was a rough 1.5 miles. And then my coworker having a blood pressure that would make Jules blush. Yeah, I think the string I'm working on is going to be a sacrificial string. Yeah, my coworker came to me and he was clammy. He was sweaty, shaky. He was not looking good, so I took his blood pressure, mind you, manually. And it was I got 160 over 105. The machines at the hospital when he eventually got it to the emergency room was 165 over 110. I couldn't even get like a manual pulse on him because he was having such a flutter pulse. Yeah. So that was, I started out working the desk and then I ended up doing meds because he needed to go to the hospital. And he did. I'm trying to figure out where I need to be in the whole grand scheme of this area. Okay, so it's down in this area. This is generally a much longer stretch than I like to do, but I'm calling this piece my sacrificial piece of string because it's going to do like 5 stitches. But I'm not going to do just one stitch and then cut it off and then, yeah, it's complicated. But it being one of the stretchy colors, it'll get wound up. Yep. We started with the machine. I was like, okay, so we're gonna start with the machine. If it gets any wonky numbers, I'll take it manually, because yeah. So took it on the machine. It was redonkulous. I went, we need to check this manually. Checked it manually. Yup, just as redonkulous. And yeah, it was a rough go. Because he didn't want to go to the hospital, because here in America, that's an expensive thing. If you're not sure, it's expensive. So, but with a blood pressure like that, I'm like, either you go willingly, or I call an ambulance, because triple digit numbers on both ends, no. I actually have to turn around and send him a check-in message. Because again, we're still short-staffed at work, and he's training a new person, so I gotta figure out what's going on. Cesar says hello. You're fine. Cesar is very concerned, as he heard me saying goodbye, and he's like, why haven't you turned off the thing yet? Okay, go. No. Yeah, yeah. That's well, one of the questions I asked is, do you know your normal vitals? Because I do take that into consideration. Because some people, and mainstream medical needs to recognize this. Some people run higher or lower than the average. The average is the average. Don't get me wrong. And I know there are dangers to high and low ends of the averages, but I'm not going to panic and be like, you need to go to the if he already knows he has hypertension or something like that. But he didn't, so it was a mild emergency. So I just did. That's the two. That's the one. Did you? Any more weird outliers? There's a whole bunch of weird outliers. Okay. I guess there's four more stitches down this area that I gotta get to. There's that. And the hilarious part is like this entire area right here is all filled with the color that I'm currently working on. But there's like 5 stitches down in this area that I have to find because they're weird. Okay, so we're gonna use that as a marker. And then down those two. There. There we go. I mean, I have a pretty normal blood pressure. I weigh around like 117 over 75 in that ballpark. I have your stereotypical blood pressure. If someone were to tell me 120 over 80, I would believe them. I got a little questionable one day when it was a little high, and I was like, "Are we sure that's the number?" But I just took it at the face value because sometimes we have variables. That is very fair. It really doesn't. Okie doke. Time to end this piece and go back up to the top. How's all the weird ones? Okie doke. And that's the fun thing is like one of the very first things my psych nurse was like, so this medication could affect your heart, and I'm like, that's okay. I have a pretty stable heart rate. And the only time, it's one of the ways I know it's kicking in is when it starts to kick in. I get like an elevated heart rate for I want to say 5 or 10 minutes, and then everything evens out and it's all good. So I got some cotton yarn. Now I use acrylic in most of my crocheting because of what I do with my crochet. Now I got some cotton yarn, so I looked up some dishcloth patterns, and just before stream started I made this lovely, and I like it, so I'm gonna make a couple more and I'm gonna bring them into work for there's a independent living side, and I'm gonna bring them in for that side. I mean they could be body washcloths. This one's a little small because I followed the pattern, but I'm gonna aim the next one. I'm gonna make another one this size, like this size, for this color. But the next color one I'm gonna do a little bit bigger. I gotta weave in my two ends that I have, but yeah, I'm gonna give some washcloths away. Mhm. So on Friday, I did in fact get a copy of Control Alt Revolt. I haven't had time to listen to it yet, and I should have, but that's going to be one of the things I'm doing after stream. I'm going to pop that in and listen to that. I do have to shovel the driveway because it decided to snow last night, and nice. I mean, it took me less than half an hour to make that. And it was a nice fast workup, and I don't have a whole lot of, actually, I probably have enough to make a bigger one. I don't have, it's not enough. I have 3 balls, skeins. I think they're, at this point, I have 3 of them. And it's not enough to make a big project, but at the same time, I think a lot of people would enjoy having a nice washcloth or face cloth or dishcloth for whatever they want. And to be fair, a lot of the little ladies in that building have given me their yarn collections. And I'm like, do you want anything? And they're like, oh, no, honey. And the answer is they're going to get something. And I try to donate a portion of what I make. I don't sell everything that I make. I do donate a lot to the places that give me the string. I do have to go look at my phone because it's making weird noises and weird patterns. So it's notifying me of something, and I'm not quite sure what. I have essentially like the worry worms, but it's worry dragons. So I want to make a few of those. It's just people walking back and forth in front of my house, which is frustrating. But I do have to wander off because I do got a lot of chores I gotta do. Oh. Oh. Well, Jules caught me at my first almost goodbye. And as soon as this piece of string I'm working on is finished up, it's gonna be my official goodbye because I have to shovel some snow. I have to mentally prepare myself that I will be training someone today. Now, mind you, this person is not at all hard to train. She is fantastic. I had the beautiful opportunity to train her on Friday. But at the same time, I knew I was going to be training on Friday. But as soon as this string is done, I'm gonna call it a session. I got two color finishes done on the page, and I got to show off my pretty washcloth to Jules. I'll show off my pretty washcloth to you too. Pretty washcloth. I gotta weave in the ends, but still pretty washcloth. I'm gonna make a couple more of them. And just so you guys know, this week so far, as of right now, normal week. Today, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday. 10 to 12 tomorrow, 9 to 12 Thursday, and we'll see if Dast wants to do dual stream. I'll pester her after I'm done logging off. And Friday there's going to be a stream either at 7 or 9. I don't know. I have definitely lost where I am. Okay. I found me. No. There. This is the hard part of working with colors that are so close together is losing track of where you are. That's why I try to end with half stitches. And my camera went off the rails. But okay, so let me hit some buttons so I can give you some deets. Did 187 stitches today. Went from 9.68% to 9.75%. We will hit 10% by the end of the year, which is phenomenal. That being said, I'm going to go shovel my porch off and shovel out my driveway before it turns into ice, because we're supposed to get a cold snap again. And right now it is nice, soft, fluffy snow. So I'm gonna get it out of the driveway before it turns to ice. Everybody have a phenomenal day. Drink your water, take your meds. Be kind to yourself without harming others, and be kind to others without harming yourself. My dogs are going bananas because I've already said this before. I'll see everybody again at 10 tomorrow. I love you and thank you for the gift of your time.